Guys, I'm back with another video. Today, we're gonna do what if Naruto was a demon god again. So, we're gonna start this off with a 6-year-old Naruto. He's in his mindscape, and they're giving him presents again. As Muzan gives him the last cup of blood that he needs to be a full original demon, in his stand. Now Naruto has all the blood of Muzan. As Naruto falls on the floor, he starts convulsing as the demons huddle around him as Muzan looks down and says, "Embrace your demon side, embrace the hatred." As Naruto is having a battle in his mindscape, in a different part of the mindscape where he is. As we see Naruto, the Dark Naruto, Naruto himself, and the Light Naruto, as he looks around and says, "Where am I?" As he hears his voice saying, "We're still in your mindscape." As he turns around and he sees Naruto, him, but with glowing white eyes instead of his dark, black, red, slitted eyes. As he says, "Why do you look like me?" As Light Naruto says, "I am you." But this is a test for if you could really embrace that much hatred. "Who are you?" says Naruto. "I'm your light side." As he scoffs, "I don't have a light side." "You do. As minuscule as I might be, I am still here. You haven't fully destroyed me yet." "Well, let's take care of that." As Light Naruto gets in a ready stance, he can't use any of the powers of Dark Naruto because the powers of Dark Naruto are all demonic powers, and he doesn't have any light powers, so the only power that Light Naruto really can use is Shadow Clone Jutsu. So he makes 1,000,000 shadow clones, and Naruto grins and activates his Rinnegan, and they run at each other. Naruto pulls a Madara Uchiha fight. So basically, the full fight with Madara Uchiha versus the Shinobi Alliance is what happened in his mindscape. As Light Naruto is panting, say, "You are strong, but you can't fully destroy me." As Naruto looks down, he grabs Light Naruto's head and pulls it off. As the light in his soul fully disappears with the help of the demons, because they know that Naruto couldn't fully destroy his light side without some help. So they helped him destroy his light side completely. So now Naruto has a blank face and stops convulsing and gets up, and he says that was an experience. As Muzan grins and says, "I'll teach you something after this." As the Demon King comes over and says, "Naruto, I have something very special for you." As Naruto looks up at him with a blank face, and he touches Naruto's demon mark, activating Naruto's demon power and giving Naruto his demon power, his full demon power of the ruler. Naruto can feel the power entering his demon mark, as he said what happened. As the Demon King says, "I gave you my full ability of the ruler. It's my demon ability, and I activated yours. But you'll have to find out what it is on your own, because even I don't know what it is." As Naruto says, "Okay," and the Shinigami floats over to Naruto and says, "There's only one more gift that I can really give you at this point in time, Naruto. This is a very special Kekkei Genkai, and I don't know if you'll be able to handle it. I'll give you the other half on your next birthday. So he touches Naruto's forehead, and Naruto feels some power going into his body as he says, "What happened?" He says, "I just gave you yin release." It's an ability. Uh, well, I'll tell you after this. But you have yin release. It's a Kekkei Jinkai. I'll tell you how to use it after this in training. As Sebastian comes up to Naruto and says, "Well, I'm a pretty weak demon compared to these four, but this may be the last few abilities I can give you." As he touched Naruto's forehead and gave him soul sustaining, he gave him transformation, manifestation, his version of immortality, and increased senses. As Naruto feels this and says, "Thank you, Sebastian." As Sebastian says, "No problem." As he walks away into the darkness, the four demons know that he likes being in the darkness. As Kurama says, "Kid, I can give you something, but I don't know if you can handle it." As Naruto says, "I can handle anything you throw at me." As Kurama grinned, he touched Naruto with his claw and gave him another tail of power. Now he has 3 tails on his back, but he also gave him a transformation. And Naruto feels this, and his bones start to break. He's starting to drop to his knees as his eyes turn completely red. As you can see in the picture, his mouth turns gray, his eyes are red, his hair is turning grayer, and he's starting to get very pale as his mouth cracks open, and he leaps at Kurama. Kurama hit him with one of his tails and touched his forehead again and redid it. Now he looks like he does when in the picture next to the Shinigami, but much younger. As Naruto says, "What was that?" He says that was a half-tail beast transformation. But I knew you probably couldn't be able to handle it, so you'll have to work on that. As he says, "Alright," and they kick him out of the ice skate. And Naruto decides that he's gonna go see what's happening around the village because it's his birthday, and he wants to crack a few skulls. So he walks to the red light district. But as he's walking, he could see his father leaping from rooftop to rooftop. As he clenches his fist and starting to leak out a lot of bloodlust, on par with Sebastian, not with the other demons. I'll tell you the lineup of most power. So Sebastian's the lowest power, the Demon King's second lowest, I would say Muzan, and then Kurama, and then Shinigami. That's the power scale. So the only reason the Demon King is so low is because if you heal him, he'll be injured. So that's the only reason he's that low. So Naruto sees his father. He's starting to release a lot of bloodlust, and the demons say, "Naruto, stop!" As Naruto gets snapped out of it, as Minato felt it, and he stopped leaping through rooftops. As he turns around just to see it, nothing there. As he scratched the back of his head and says, "I must be paranoid." As he starts jumping from rooftop to rooftop back to his home. As Naruto is hiding behind a building, and the demons are saying that was close. As the Shinigami starts to smile and says, "We're gonna have to work on your emotion." As Naruto says, "You gonna do what now?" As they tell him to go back to the Senju Forest. As he runs into the forest, and he goes inside of his mindscape to see the Shinigami in front of him. As the Shinigami looks deep into Naruto's eyes and puts a genjutsu on Naruto, as Naruto can't break out of it, as he's reliving the QB attack and what happened, he's seeing how his father glared at him when he was a baby. He's seeing how every bad thing that's ever happened to him, it keeps happening. As Naruto's Rinnegan activated, he yells as Naruto starts to convulse, and the QB's half QB form activates while he's still in the genjutsu. So instead of the red slits in the QB form, it's Naruto's Rinnegan, and he is trying to break out of the genjutsu, but the Shinigami's not going to let that happen. As Naruto starts to see many different things, he starts to see death, carnage, and different things that have happened with each of the demons. He sees the Shinigami taking an entire village's amount of souls because one of the villagers didn't pay up when he summoned him. He sees Muzan killing and turning people into demons. He sees the Demon King slaughtering fairies, giants, and angels. He sees Sebastian killing a few gangsters from Black Butler. And he sees himself and how he killed stone shinobi that were about to capture him, and how he killed mobs upon mobs of villagers. As Naruto is now cold, his demon form stops, and his Rinnegan deactivates as the Shinigami lets him out of the genjutsu. Naruto gets up, he looks at each of the demons, and he grins as he goes out of his mindscape. And he runs out of the land of fire, past the land of waves, and to a village that isn't very is kind of close to the land of waves, but not that close. As it's a remote village, nobody really knows about it, except for Minato. Minato knows about it. As Naruto activates QB mode with his Rinnegan, as he runs through the village, he kills every person inside of the village, ripping off their limbs. He's decapitating people as he absorbs all the souls, and it makes him strong. But he also drinks some of the blood to make him stronger. I'm going to say that's one of his abilities. As the Demon King is very happy with this, as well as the other demons. Muzan has a blank face, but inside he's happy Naruto is finally embracing the fact that he's a demon. As Naruto goes back to his home and says, "I haven't had that much fun in a while." As he cleans up, and I'm going to say a couple days later, Minato gets a report on how the entire village that's kind of close, the village hidden, no, it's not a hidden village, it's just a village that's connected to the land of waves, but it's very far. They're like a trading post. As Naruto is very happy, but Minato's wondering who could have done this. As he's looking for the culprit. He doesn't think it's anybody in the hidden village, in his village, but he thinks it might be a Cloud or Kumo. He thinks it might be Kumo or the village hidden in the mist. But he doesn't think so because they're in a civil war. So Naruto, when he's around 7 years old, he got actually, I'm gonna keep a secret from what he got from the demons. And he's walking through the land of fire as he sees two Konoichi that are injured. They're running from a bunch of stone shinobi. As he watches this in contempt, as he follows the shinobi, and he sees as the stone shinobi catch up to the two leaf Konoichi and knock them aside, and they're about to do heinous acts to the Konoichi, as Naruto jumps down and instantly impales one of the stone shinobi as he blurs out of sight and rips the head off of the second. And the captain of the stone shinobi was looking at this, and he was confused because it all happened in the blink of an eye. But as he's seeing this, he feels a hand on the back of his head, and he hears something being whispered into his ear, Shindra Tensai, or Almighty Push, as his head explodes and he falls to the ground. As Naruto gets up and looks over at the Konoichi, he sees a Konoichi with black hair and red ruby eyes, and the other leaf shinobi with purple hair and brown eyes, as he sees the curse mark on the girl with the purple hair, as he is thinking, so this is the one that Orochimaru did it to, and he decides that he'll fix it later. And the two leaf Konoichi say, "Who are you?" As Naruto is wearing his mask, his fox mask, and he just blurs out of sight. They saw Naruto's red slitted eyes and blonde hair, and they thought for a second it was the Hokage because of the blonde hair, but he was much too young to be the Hokage, and they now want to find out who this kid is. So they go and report to the Hokage and say, "Lord Hokage, we have returned back from Stone," and they pull out a scroll from their back pocket. I don't know. It's a scroll of Stone Shinobi being entering and exiting the land of fire, and why. As they see that they've been trying to capture the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, but the two Leaf Shinobi don't know this, but they just took it out of the Tsuchikage's desk, as they aren't allowed to look inside of mission schools. So Minato has his eyes wide because he thought he killed Naruto, but he guessed not. He hasn't seen Naruto around for a while, and the Kyuubi didn't reform, so that should have been an obvious sign, is what he's thinking. So Naruto is alive, huh? As in the back of his head, he's like, "Oh, thank God, maybe I can get him back in the family," because Kushina has remembered that she has 3 children, not just 2, as she was asking Minato if Naruto is still in the village. And Minato said that he killed Naruto, as Kushina has been mad at Naruto ever since, at Minato ever since. But now that he's alive, Minato's thinking, now maybe I can get him back in the family. As he says, thank you, Kurenai, Yuki, and Anko Mitarashi, you're dismissed. And they say, Lord Hokage, do you know of a kid with red slitted eyes and blonde hair like yours? He saved us on our way back from a team of stone shinobi that were about to do heinous acts toward us. As we just want to thank him. And Minato's eyes widen and says, no, I know of no such person. As they leave, thinking that the Hokage knew but just didn't want to tell them, because they saw his eyes white. As Minato summons a team of Abu and say, Dog and Cat, I want you both to look for Naruto Uzumaki. If he's in the village, bring him to me. As they say, yes, Hokage. As secretly Kakashi's fuming, but he has to do what the Hokage says. So, as Yugao and Kakashi are looking through the village, we see Naruto walking, and he is currently eating some dango, because he likes dango. And he's walking around the village, eating his dango. And he sees 2 Abu leaping from rooftop to rooftop, and he says, I wonder what they're looking for. As he keeps walking, he's about to pass them, but Cat looks over at the street at the time as Naruto's about to walk past, and body flickers down toward him. As Naruto looked at Cat with his red slitted eyes and black iris, and says, can I do something for you? As Cat says, the Lord Hokage would like to see you. As Naruto balls his fist, but remembers his emotional training, and says, alright. As they body flicker Naruto back to the Hokage's office, and Naruto looks at Minato face to face for the first time in years. And Minato looks at Naruto and says, all Anbu are dismissed, as every Anbu in his room disappeared, except for one, but Minato didn't know this. As Naruto looked over, he pulled out his tanto that the Shinigami gave him, and stabs it through the bookcase. As blood starts to leak under the bookcase, he pulls his sword out and cleans it off, and puts it away. As Minato looks over and says, who was that? Root Anbu. I've had to kill a few. They've been spying on me recently. And I guess they're spying on you too. As Minato balls his fist and thinks, Danzo. I swear to God. As he looks at Naruto and says, how old are you now, huh? Last time I saw you, you were 3. As Naruto glared at him and says, I'm 7. And he says, so where'd you get that sword? Kids like you shouldn't be having swords, shouldn't be playing with swords. As Naruto is getting mad because he's acting like he's his dad now, all of a sudden. As he says, Lord Hokage, is there a reason you wanted to meet with me? As Minato sighs and says, Naruto, I'm your father. As Naruto looked at him with a blank stare and says, I know. And Minato's eyes widen and says, how? When you thought you killed me. As Minato winces from the tone that he said it in, he says, I heard you say that you weren't my child, and you will never be. As Naruto is looking at Minato with rage-filled eyes, Minato says, I'm sorry, Naruto. I shouldn't have done that to you. As that just makes Naruto's anger skyrocket, but he keeps it in. As Minato says, I want you to come back home with me. As that took Naruto completely off guard. That he stepped back and his tails started to get menacingly close and to Minato, and that's when Minato noticed that Naruto had tails and says, where'd you get tails from? As he puts it back under his darkness cloak, and he looks closer at Naruto and sees a thin coat of darkness on Naruto and says, what is that? As Naruto makes his darkness cloak disappear and puts a genjutsu over himself, as he activates his Rinnegan to make Minato forget the last 5 seconds. As Minato says, so, do you want to come home with me? As Naruto is thinking, Kurama, Sebastian, Demon King, Muzan, and Shinigami, do you think I should go and destroy his family from the inside out? As Shinigami is pondering this, thinking it would be the best idea. I mean, they could do nothing to you. As Kurama says, I don't like it, but the Shinigami's right. Muzan says the exact same thing as Kurama, but the Demon King says, do what's best for you, kid. As Sebastian just stays quiet and says, I'm not qualified for this. As Naruto looks at Minato with a blank stare and says, alright, I'll go back home with you. As Minato smiles, thinking that Naruto forgave him, but in hindsight, Naruto is chuckling on the inside, thinking of many different ways on how he'll kill Minato and his family. As they go back to Minato's house, as they go in the house and Kushina says, Minato, dinner's ready. As he says, thanks, honey. He walks toward Kushina and gives her a kiss on the cheek as he says, I have good news. As Kushina says, what is it? Well, I was severely mistaken and I didn't kill our son. As Kushina's eyes went wide and said, so, can he come back? As he says, he's already back. As he moves out of the way to show Naruto. As Kushina sees Naruto and runs up to him, but he dodged her attempt at a hug, and she slammed into the wall. As Kushina says, what was that for, Sochi? As he glared at Kushina and said, just because I came back doesn't mean I forgave you. And he looks at Minato, and I definitely didn't forgive you. You'll have to work on it. As he walks away from him, and he walks back and says, where will I sleep? As Minato just remembered that he had no idea, he didn't have another room for Naruto. And he says, one second, As he turns around, it says Yamato. As he whispers Yamato, as Yamato appears, and he whispers something inside of Yamato's ear, and he says yes Hokage. As he disappears, he appears on the roof, and he does hand signs, making Minato's house bigger, and creating another room. And this is when Naruto's siblings come rocketing down the stairs like children on sugar. He looks over and says, "Huh, are those my siblings?" Disappointed. As Minato, as they stop at Kushina and Minato's feet, at Kushina and Minato's legs, and say, "Mom, Dad, is it time for dinner?" As they're hopping around, Mito looks like Kushina with red hair and violet eyes, and Minma looks like his mom and his dad at the same time. He has violet eyes with golden oranges hair because of Kushina and Minato. It turned his hair orange-ish, just light orange. As they look around, they see Naruto, and they say, "Who's that?" As they look at each other, and then they take Minma and Mito out of the room and start to explain to them that they have another brother, and he's just been away. As he's the oldest out of you two, and he has some shinobi training. As they pout and say, "Dad, when are you going to teach us?" "Yeah." And he says, "We're a bit older, okay?" And actually, no, he doesn't say Naruto has shinobi training. He just says that Naruto is your older sibling, and we're gonna teach him and teach you to when you're a little older. As they say, "Okay, Dad," as they walk into the room and say, "Hey, brother," as Naruto glares at them and walks to the table, sits down, and says, "I am not your sibling." As Minato and Kushina recoiled at this because they didn't expect Naruto to say that. They expected him to be happy, but he wasn't happy at all. As they remember the words that Naruto said to them, "You're gonna have to work on it." As I think that's where we're gonna leave this video off. Please like and subscribe, and bye guys. I'll see you in the next one.